All right, deep divers, buckle up. We're diving headfirst into the world of Agile and Waterfall, two software development methodologies that just seem to spark endless debates. And you've sent us some fascinating material for this one, like a myth-busting breakdown of both approaches and a whole training course overview that promises to cut through all the jargon. So are you ready to ditch the buzzwords and actually understand which method might be right for your project?
It's amazing how often these terms just get, like, tossed around as if they're polar opposites. But the reality is it's far more nuanced. It's not a black and white situation.
Exactly. Our deep dive today is all about clarity. We'll unpack what each approach really asterisk means, explore those strengths, weaknesses, and most importantly, equip you to choose the right path, for your specific project. Because honestly, who needs a side of project chaos with their morning coffee?
Right. And understanding the subtleties of each approach can really, like, empower you to even blend them effectively. So you can create a solution that's tailored for your, unique needs.
I love that. Okay, so let's untangle this knot. First up, waterfall. Sounds simple enough, almost self-explanatory, but I feel like that term gets thrown around loosely. It becomes this catch-all for any structured project.
Absolutely. The essence of waterfall is really in its linear, sequential nature. Picture building a house. You wouldn't wreck the walls before laying the foundation, right?
Definitely not. Otherwise, you're just asking for trouble.
Precisely. Waterfall operates on that same principle. It segments a project into distinct stages, where each one really relies on the successful completion of the previous one. And your materials highlight those classic stages: your requirements, design, implementation, testing, and finally maintenance, each one just flowing seamlessly into the next.
So it's like a cascade, hence the name waterfall. Going back to your house analogy, that'd
Yeah.
be like completing the foundation, then moving to framing, then roofing. Just this logical, sequential process, no jumping ahead.
Exactly. And this structured rigidity, often perceived as limitation, can actually be a real asset in specific scenarios.
Yeah.
So if you have a project with crystal clear requirements up front and a high degree of certainty that those requirements won't drastically change, Waterfall could be incredibly effective. Provides that framework for really meticulous upfront planning and control.
So if waterfall is all about sticking to the blueprint, then agile seems to be all about embracing the unexpected, right? Like that friend who always goes with the flow, adapts to last-minute changes, and somehow still manages to pull it off flawlessly.
That's a great analogy. While Waterfall thrives on predictability, Agile is all about embracing change, adapting quickly. It's less about following this rigid set of steps and more about adopting a mindset of flexibility and responsiveness.
A mindset, huh? That's interesting. So it's less about the how-to and more about the why behind the approach.
Exactly. One of the excerpts you shared, which aims to debunk some common misconceptions about Agile, highlights these, like 4 core values: individuals and interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and responding to change over following a plan.
So it's about valuing people, and their ability to adapt over sticking to a rigid process, even if it means deviating from that initial plan.
And that's precisely where Agile shines, in those unpredictable environments where change is really the only constant. It's about, like, building adaptability into the DNA of the project.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, especially in today's fast-paced tech landscape. But it also sounds a bit, well, chaotic, doesn't it? I mean, how do you even begin to estimate timelines, allocate resources when, the goalposts are constantly shifting?
That's a common misconception, actually. While it's true that Agile embraces those evolving requirements, which can make it tricky to, pin down the total effort, upfront experienced Agile teams actually utilize very specific techniques to at least establish a likely range. And here's the key difference, though. They continuously refine those estimates as the project progresses. So they're planning for change from the outset, not as an afterthought.
So it's about acknowledging that that initial plan is a starting point, not like an unbreakable contract.
Exactly. It's like navigating uncharted territory,
Yeah.
right? You need a compass to kind of point you in the right direction, but you also need that flexibility to adjust your course. If you encounter unexpected obstacles or discover new, more efficient paths.
That's a brilliant way to put it. Okay, so we've got Waterfall, the reliable architect with this detailed blueprint. And then we've got Agile, this adaptable explorer equipped for, the unknown. But what about those situations where, neither approach seems like a perfect fit? The training course overview mentions hybrid approaches, which kind of sound like a fascinating middle ground. Can you shed some light on those?
Absolutely. Hybrid approaches really aim to capture the best of both worlds. So you're blending that structured planning of Waterfall with the iterative, adaptable nature of Agile. It's all about tailoring the methodology to the unique contours of, the project at hand.
So it's not this either situation. It's more like selecting the right tools from like both toolboxes, right?
Exactly. So for instance, you might opt for like a waterfall approach for that initial design phase, where
Mm.
you've got those clear, well-defined requirements. It's crucial for laying that solid foundation. Then as you move into those development and implementation stages, you could transition to a more agile framework, incorporating sprints, those continuous feedback loops, and that flexibility to adjust course as needed.
That makes perfect sense. It's about adapting the approach to the specific phase of the project and the level of uncertainty involved.
Precisely. It's about finding that sweet spot between structure and flexibility, to ensure a smooth and efficient process from start to finish.
This is where that training course we have comes into play, right? It seems to delve deeper into the nuances of these hybrid approaches, providing, practical guidance on how to actually effectively blend waterfall and agile methodologies.
Yes. It aims to really equip individuals with the skills to not only understand the theoretical underpinnings of each approach, but to actually apply them uh, judiciously in real world scenarios. It emphasizes that importance of adaptability
Yeah.
and tailoring that methodology to the unique needs of the project and the team.
It's about becoming fluent in both languages,
Right.
waterfall and agile, so you can kind of seamlessly switch between them as needed, like a skilled diplomat navigating different cultural contexts.
Oh, that's a very insightful way to frame it. It's about being methodology agnostic, so to
Mhm.
speak, and embracing the approach that best suits that situation at hand.
Speaking of navigating different contexts, the training material also seems to highlight the human element of these methodologies, particularly the importance of collaboration. I mean, it's easy to get caught up in the processes, the frameworks, but ultimately it's people who make projects succeed or fail.
Absolutely. And while both waterfall and agile value stakeholder involvement, the way that manifests differs significantly between the two approaches. In waterfall, stakeholder input is typically concentrated up front, you know, during those planning and requirements gathering stages.
So it's like getting everyone together in a room, hammering out the details, and getting their sign off on the blueprint. Before any construction even begins, it's about ensuring everyone's on the same page from the outset.
Exactly. That upfront alignment is crucial in waterfall because once a stage is complete, it's much more difficult, much more costly to go back and make those changes.
Which makes sense. I mean, it's easier to adjust a blueprint than it is to demolish a partially built structure. But with Agile, it seems like the collaboration is more continuous, right?
You got it. Agile methodologies really emphasize those ongoing engagement and feedback loops throughout the entire project lifecycle.
So instead of a one-time sign-off, it's more about those regular check-ins, the demos, the feedback sessions, just to ensure that everyone stays aligned and any necessary course corrections are made early on.
Precisely. Agile teams really see this constant feedback loop as essential for creating a successful product, one that truly meets those, the evolving needs of its users. They view stakeholders, including customers,
Yeah.
as active participants in the development process, not just passive recipients of the final product.
And this continuous collaboration, it seems to be where Agile's cultural impact comes into play. The training material mentions this, suggesting that adopting an Agile approach can actually foster a more collaborative, more empowered work environment.
That's a fascinating point. And it makes sense when you think about it. By empowering individuals to contribute their ideas, adapt to change, take ownership of their work, agile methodologies have the potential to create a much more engaged and fulfilling work experience.
So it's not just about delivering software faster or more efficiently. It's about, creating a work environment where people actually feel valued, heard, and empowered to make a real difference.
Exactly. And that can translate into like increased motivation, innovation,
Yeah.
and ultimately a more successful and sustainable way of working. Of course, it's not a magic bullet. And shifting to an agile culture requires careful planning, commitment, and a willingness to really embrace change at all levels of an organization.
It's about changing not just the how of work, but the why.
Precisely. It's
Yeah.
about fostering a culture of collaboration, transparency, continuous improvement. A culture that embraces change as an opportunity rather than a threat.
Yeah, it's like that saying, right? The only constant is change. But instead of like fearing it, agile teams actually embrace it as, as this catalyst for growth and innovation.
Precisely. And in a world that's, driven by such rapid technological advancements, that ability to pivot, to iterate, to integrate that user feedback in real time, it becomes increasingly crucial. I mean, it's no longer enough to just deliver a product. It needs to be the
Right.
asterisk product, right? And one that's constantly evolving to meet, those ever-changing needs of its users.
It's like the difference between like navigating with a static map and using a GPS that updates in real time, routing you around traffic jams, guiding you along the most efficient path.
Exactly. And in today's dynamic landscape, that ability to change course, to do it quickly and efficiently, it's no longer just this, nice to have. It's essential for survival.
Really makes you wonder if, in the world of software development, if that ability to embrace change, to adapt, might actually be the most valuable skill of all.
It's certainly a thought-provoking notion, and as we conclude our deep dive today, it's something I'd really encourage all our listeners to ponder. Does your chosen approach, whether it's waterfall, agile, or even one of those hybrid approaches, does it actually equip you to navigate the uncertainties, to capitalize on the opportunities that lie ahead?
That's a powerful final thought for our deep divers to really chew on today. We've journeyed from that structured world of waterfall to the adaptable realm of agile. We explored their strengths, their weaknesses, and even those intriguing possibilities of those hybrid approaches. But ultimately, the most important takeaway here is really the understanding that there's no one size fits all solution. The key is to choose or even blend, right? The methodologies that best empower Asterisk to create, to innovate, and ultimately to thrive in this ever changing technological landscape.